My name is Alex, and today I'm here with Mike LAMBERTH, owner of a 2008 Ford Mustang Bullitt. Hello, Mike. Nice to see you. Thank you for having me today.
I'm doing great. Glad y'all could come out.
Yes. It is awesome to see this car. I absolutely love it. Tell me about how you got into Bullitt, how you were first introduced, whether it was the car or the film.
It was the film. As a kid, I loved Mustangs. Little kid, one of my dad's friends had a 64 coupe, red Mustang coupe, when it was brand new, and I thought that's just the coolest car in the world. A few years later, my family bought Fords. I remember going to a Ford dealership. It must have been '69 because they had '69 Mach 1s in the showroom, and I just fell in love with the '69 Mach 1. That's still probably my ultimate Mustang. A few years later, we had moved to Texas, and my dad took me to see Bullitt. And I know it wasn't when it was first released, because this had to have been about 1970, 71. It was a re-release.
Sure.
Back in the days when there were 3 TV channels and you had to go to the theater to see a movie. He took me to see it, and I was like, well, I kind of knew who Steve McQueen was, really wasn't into it. And he said, oh, you'll love the movie. There's a chase scene with a Mustang, and he's chasing the bad guys in a Dodge Charger. And I went, okay. And he's describing the jumps over, and it's like the greatest chase scene ever. And I took me to see the movie, and again, that was so long ago, I don't remember much about the movie, but I remember the car, and I remember the chase. And the car, the way they did the car in the movie, they roughed it. It was a new car, but they made it look old and beat up. And like this was like, yeah, this is just something he had. And the bad guys drive this evil black Charger, and the whole thing, the way that scene did, particularly the best part of that chase is when they're looking for him, they look around, they look in the mirror, and there he is.
Yes.
When it comes over the hill, there it is.
Excellent cinematography.
That just, in the movie score. And
yes.
Looking back on the movie, watching it again, it's a great movie. It's so subtle and overdone, and at a time when most cop movies are constant car chases and shootouts, McQueen never touches his gun until the very end of the movie. I had a good friend, a DEA agent I worked with, and she wanted to write screenplays, and she was always sending screenplays to Hollywood, and they would call her back and go, well, first of all, where's the car chase? And she goes, I've been a DEA agent 20 years, I've never been in a car chase. Okay, well, where's the gunfights? And she goes, I've been a DEA agent 20 years. The only time I've ever fired my weapon is on the range. Yeah, but so they couldn't accept, we want reality, but this is what we really want. So that was kind of, it's boring. Most of what we did was kind of boring. But that was kind of it was an appreciation for the movie, the car, and McQueen all kind of gelled at the same time.
Yep. So, this 2008 Mustang Bullitt that you have here, is this your first Bullitt that you've owned?
This is my first one. This is actually an 09. This is an early 09.
Okay.
They were going to build 7,700. Of course, the economy kind of tanked about this time, and although it was the anniversary of the movie, they ended up stretching the production into 09. And almost no differences between the two, other than they sold this as an 09 versus an 08. It's essentially the same car, and then I think they made about 6,500 instead of the full 7,700. But yeah, this is my second Mustang and my first Bullitt.
Being the owner of a Bullitt, have you ever been challenged or challenged a Charger to a race?
One time. And when I read your questions the other day, and I was thinking about it, and I was saying, well, and my youngest daughter, who's 13, was like, what do you mean? And I said, what happened? Look, driving down a road near here, there's a high school not too far away, and I'm driving down the road, and a high school age kid in a black 4-door late model Charger.
All right.
And it wasn't an SRT, and it wasn't.
Not an
I don't
RT
think it was an RT.
either?
It may have been a V6. But it was a nice looking car.
Still,
the blacked out windows.
at least it's
nice
black.
Room.
Yeah.
But it was, and I'm driving down Slaughter Lane over here at a couple lights, and every light he's either behind me, or he's pulling up to me, and it's like
trying to get your attention.
Leave me alone. Leave me in. And it's like clearly it's cool. He clearly thinks. Oh,
probably understands what you
most
have.
Most people at that age wouldn't know what a Bullitt Mustang was.
Probably
clearly
not.
he understood it, and so I made a turn, and I head over towards 290. The highway, and it's open road, and I made a left. He was behind me. He was following me, and once I got straightened out, I just nailed it.
Right. So this is where you keep your your Bullitt and Mustang collectibles.
As my wife calls toys.
The toys.
Yeah, I just kind of transitioned to a spare room. I started the stuff I had kind of scattered around the house or put away. I said, I got some bookshelves. I'll put everything up here, and all of us have the scale model here, and then over time you come across like these and some of these others. And this was one that I got off the internet. I found it a couple of years ago, and I thought, well, that's kind of cool.
I've seen that same one, yeah.
And of course, you can't take them out. And it's like my grandson, Grandpa, can I play with these? No, Sam. This was at the Nationals a few years ago in Detroit. Everybody that was there signed it, and there was a raffle.
Whose signatures? The car owners?
These are all Bullitt owners.
And their production numbers, right?
Yeah. Again, we're funny about our numbers.
Yeah, very important.
And then also it was the color of the car. If you had a blue one, you signed it in blue. There's Kurt, Charles.
And the red one, of course, yep.
That's the Hoondog Crew. That's we had red, the pre-production car.
Very cool.
So Paul Rocha signed that. And just different people that I've gotten to be friends with in the last 9 years. These black bullets, and it's so I'm up there, and then the last day of the get together leaving, so he goes, "Hey, you won the poster." I took it home, had it framed, and had it all done up. My wife's going, "Where are you gonna put that?" Okay.
Now I see it's got the original 68 on there. Now, are there signatures for the 68, even though it's not technically a Bullitt?
We have a couple here. Mike has a 67. That is a Bullitt clone.
Okay.
He lives in Arkansas, and he drives that car. I ran into him in New Mexico a couple of years ago on his way back from California. We ran into each other in Santa Rosa. I pull him in the parking lot, and I go, "That's Mike's car." And he drives it. It's a 67. He drives it. I think there's one other.
And I can't help but notice there's
another one here.
Canadian flags there, if I'm not mistaken, on the bottom.
Yes, we have Canadian members.
Oh, okay.
We have some Canadian Bullitt owners, particularly Chris and Paul Rocha.
Okay.
And Maggie is in there somewhere. And they come down from Canada. They'll come all the way from Canada for 3 days in Texas to hang out with us.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to mention or talk about?
No, it's just we're all the internet's been abuzz with all of us Bullitt owners. The two things: the release of the new Bullitt, and then I think what's even bigger is the hero cars, they call it, emerging. Because we've known about it for years, and it's been in hiding, and it was like, one day will that car ever emerge? And it's priceless. It's got to be worth millions.
Absolutely.
If it ever went on the auction block, there's millions. And it's great to see it.
Do you know who actually owns that vehicle now? Is it the McQueen estate?
No. Steve tried to buy the car back in '77.
Yes,
it was sold to somebody, as I understand, that was involved in the movie. He sold it to a detective in New Jersey, who's named Frank, who drove it. And then he sold it in '74 to a fellow, and I can't remember his name, but they're the ones that his son was the one that was on the release the other day. And they drove it as a daily driver. This guy's mom drove it to school for 3 or 4 years. Imagine, in the late '70s, your mom's driving that car, and it was loud and it was rough and everything else. And then they just put it away. And over time, they were going to fix it up, as I understand. And a few years ago, the gentleman passed away, and his son had the car. They kind of got it running again, and I think there was sure a lot of communication with Ford, from what I'm hearing, to bring it out. And the Bullitt community is thrilled to see the car. We're so glad that he is sharing it with us. The release with McQueen's granddaughter up there driving the new one.
Yes.
And that car, it's great. And we're all thrilled that they've brought it out, and they're sharing it with us again. And I hope they keep it and show it to everybody.
Absolutely. Yep. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mike.
Appreciate it. Nice talking to you. I'm glad y'all are doing this, promoting our hobby, or my wife says my obsession.
Telling me how you got into Bullitt. Was it the movie? Was it a car? How old were you?
Well, it was probably around 71 or 72. I was just a little kid. My parents were visiting my grandparents' place, and I don't know, they were playing cards or something. For some reason, they left the TV on, and the movie just happened to be Bullitt, of all movies. And it just kind of stuck with me. And truth be told, I don't think I saw that movie again until probably sometime in the 90s or early 2000s.
Oh, really?
Right. So I just remember watching as a kid, and kind of getting a little sick watching on my grandmother's little console TV, you know, still.
Yeah, I know. Doesn't do the movie justice.
No,
either.
it doesn't, but as a little kid, it's like, wow, this is the coolest thing.
Right, yeah.
I've never seen anything like this. This guy's driving like crazy.
There really wasn't anything like it at the time.
No, there really wasn't.
I think you said it was 71?
Yeah, it was around 71 or 72. It was on, it was on regular TV.
Right. I believe that was around the same time Gone in 60 Seconds came out with...
yeah, the original one,
yeah,
which was the better of the two, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool car. I mean, that was...
That wasn't it.
Talk about car chases.
Right.
That was the best by far.
Yeah.
Everybody says Bullitt and everything like that, but Gone in 60 Seconds, that was awesome. All right, Alex, well, here's the storage chamber for all the vehicles. Everything from my 68 to my 71 to both of the Bullitts. This has a lot of tributes that came straight from the factory, including something that you won't see down south here because it's a northern car. It's a block heater for the engine because this car was purchased in Wisconsin, and all the northern Midwest cars got block heaters in them. Not that I know many people that drove their Bullitts in the wintertime.
Nope.
But, just in case you had to start it. So I just kind of leave it hanging out there right now. So I've done some work to this over the years. The first thing I did was put on 18-inch wheels on it. Put an aftermarket shifter in. No, these are not factory wheels.
They look pretty similar, just a little bigger.
They do, yeah. And I put a different shifter in it. I put in a Hurst shifter with a tall boy handle on it. Put a different cold air intake in this. And I put 373s in.
Oh, okay.
The gears that were under 327s, and they just, at the track, they just didn't cut it. And I wanted some more oomph on it, and the gears really made a huge difference.
Where do you usually take it to? What track?
Around here, I have not been to a track yet, but over the years, I've taken it from some tracks in Wisconsin, Ohio, around that area when I lived up there. Down here, I have not brought it to a track yet, though.
Okay. You test the quarter-mile times, or what kind of...
Quarter-mile times.
Yeah?
Yes.
And what was the fastest you were able to get it?
Like I said, these are kind of slow. My V6 is probably quicker than this, but
probably.
I want to say I was in the low 13s is the best time, maybe high 12s.
Not too shabby for 2000.
Maybe high 12s, yeah. It's not that quick.
No.
Now I know some guys who've built their Bullitts.
Quick-ish.
It's quick-ish, right. I know some guys who built their Bullitts and they're probably in the 11s and maybe one in the 10s that I know of, or two are in the 10s. But they're really not street drivable cars anymore by that point.
I wouldn't think so. No.
Right. So I mean, it's a fun car. It's like I said, when we first got together, it was all about the cars when we first got to know each other, and now it's more about the people. It's just a big family, and
definitely.
we all get along pretty well. There's a few that are outliers, but
that's every community.
It's every community, it's every group, but for the most part, it's a great group of people.
Very cool.
It really is.
All right, and the 68 here.
And a 68.
What's the deal with this one?
68 was a fellow Bullitt owner owned this car, and it wasn't just any Bullitt owner. It was a very good friend of mine, someone who I consider a brother. And Dan owned this car for quite a few years, and I always kind of lusted after this car. And he had fought with cancer for years and years.
Ooh.
Yeah, and we moved down here. He's lived in Texas at the time, just a couple hours north of here. And we moved down here, and about 3 or 4 months after we moved down here, he passed away.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's too soon.
Yeah, it is too soon. He wasn't that old of a guy. He was 62, 63, somewhere around there. I forget exactly what Dan was. But anyways, I talked to his son, and I says, what's the plan with all the cars? Because Dan had 6 Mustangs sitting on the property.
That's a couple.
Yeah, and I knew he and his mom, Molly, didn't want to deal with that many cars around. So I got talking with Josh, and I says, is this something that you guys want to sell? And he says, actually, my dad wants Bullitt owners, his brothers, to own his cars if possible.
Naturally.
So they made me an offer and I couldn't turn it down, and I didn't need another car, but here it is.
Yeah.
And it's great because whenever I take it for a drive, my wife and I think of Dan. So
Oh yeah, great.
it's you know, it's sentimental reasons. Another one of the brothers bought his car, his 65 that he had, and that was a 65 GT actually. And Paul has it up in Canada now, and he brought it to a body shop and they totally stripped it down and totally redid everything on it. The car's like a brand new car.
Oh wow.
Still drives like a tractor, Paul says, but those old cars, you know, with the not disc brakes, they were all drum brakes.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
They weren't the greatest in the world, but
do you
so
have
a
any
couple of
plans
us.
of restoring this one?
My plan right now, Dan did a lot of work to the interior on it. Prior to him getting it, the engine had been rebuilt. The tranny has a shift kit in it. And Dan had pulled off the vinyl top off of it, and that was the last thing he had done to it. So I'm right now in the process of sanding it down, sanding the glue down on the top to the primer. And I'm going to fix all the issues, and we're going to put a vinyl top on it, back on it. But we're going to leave the car pretty much as is, the body as is. Okay. I kind of like it.
Oh, it looks great the way it is. A few dings here and there.
It has a few dings, and things aren't perfect on it, but you know what? It's a fun car to have.
Oh yeah.
And it's loud and mean, and it's loud and mean too, which is which makes it all the better.
All right. Can
So
we hear it?
we can. It's a little temperamental at times. We can fire it up in a little bit.
All right. Let's give it a shot.
All right. Well, let me go grab the keys here and see if she'll start.
Come on, baby.
As I said, it won't start right away, but it'll start. That sounds pretty good, pretty healthy. So we all, got together because of the car, but it's the people that has maintained over all the years. I mean, a lot of people have gotten rid of their cars, and maybe they got a newer Bullitt, or they don't even have a Bullitt anymore, but they stay with us because we're all like a big family now. We've got to know each other that well. We've seen each other's kids grow up. Some are getting married now. Some are having kids themselves. It's kind of weird, but it's all because of a car.
That's just amazing that a car can do that. I mean,
Right.
you take cars, which is just one of the greatest hobbies in America, and then you streamline that down to Mustangs, which is arguably the biggest and most involved fan base of any car.
Right.
And then you streamline that even more down to the Bullets.
Right.
And you've got yourself just a nice little family.
You really do, and
cool.
it's kind of weird because we're all pretty similar too, in what our likes are and what we do. It's just kind of an odd thing.
It's just easy getting along, huh?
It really is. It's I said it before. It's like a family reunion when you all get together, but we all like each other, so it's even better.
So it's a little different.
So it's even better,
In a good way.
Right, in a good way. So yeah.
That's great. So do you get a lot of, as far as looking on the inbox pages and stuff, do you notice any like female enthusiasts or younger audiences as well?
We definitely have females on there. Yeah. Several women. Not as many as the guys, obviously.
Of course.
But a lot of younger people, too, are getting into it. And a lot of younger people are buying the old ones because they're cheap now. They're pretty inexpensive, right?
I got my eyes on a 01 for my next car.
Do you? And then the 08s even are coming down in price quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite one, personally. I love them.
I've driven it, and I like them a lot.
Yeah.
But I have a 2012 that is almost more fun than the Bullitt.
Sorry,
Sorry guys.
And the 2012 you have there was just a V6, right?
It is a V6, but it has 305 horsepower and it's a performance pack, and it's a Mustang Club America car. And it's what Ford called their Mayhem Edition. So it's got a lot of great upgrades, and it's a fun car right off the showroom floor.
Yeah, definitely.
And that too I ordered. And I ordered that really kind of custom. It's so much different than any other Mayhem edition because it has a Boss 302 spoiler deflector on the back. So if you look at the back, it's from a Boss 302.
Huh.
And when I ordered it, they're like, it won't fit. I'm like, it'll fit. And they're like, no, it won't fit. I'm like, no, I'm an engineer. It'll fit. This is how they designed this stuff. And when I went to pick it up, they're like, you know what, it fit. I'm like, really? Imagine that.
Told you so.
Yeah, I told you so. Yeah, it's just kind of a unassuming car for the most part. And that's what I like about it. And I guess that's what drew me to the Bullitt too, was kind of an unassuming, simple car. It just looks like a regular Mustang. And as you guys found out on the cruise we took, it's not just a regular Mustang.
Well, Jeff, I really appreciate you.
Anytime, Alex. I'm glad I called you. That was good. Very good. All right. Definitely. Very good.
I'm here with Roland Gonzalez, and he is an owner of a 2001 Dark Highland Green Mustang Bullitt, correct?
That's correct.
Tell me, Roland, how did you get into Bullitt? Was it the movie that you knew first, or the car?
It's actually, I actually was driving by and I actually seen the car, and that's what drew me to it because it was such a different color for that year. I mean, you don't really see a dark Highland green. I never have. You've seen the blues, the reds, the oranges, all different colors, and I've actually seen it on the parking lot, so I actually pulled in and inquired about it. That's
at the dealership?
Yeah, at the dealership,
okay.
And that's how I found out about it, and then eventually, after buying the car, that's how I got into the movie and watched the movie.
So you did it backwards.
Yeah, I did it backwards.
Okay,
I mean,
that was me too.
I mean, but the car, it speaks for itself. I mean, it's a great looking car, and that's how I got into it. I mean, you're like, wow, that's a different looking Mustang. It's a sleek looking Mustang, and so that's what drew me to it.
Yeah, it was very unique for sure.
Yeah, it's very unique for that year. They did some style changes, so that's what's great about it. Always has been.
Yeah, definitely. So, is this the only Bullitt that you've had? And if so, how long have you had it?
Yeah, this is only Bullitt that I have owned, and I've owned it since probably 02, 03.
Oh wow!
So it's been with me for as long as I can remember. It's part of me now.
It's about 15 years.
Yes, it's
That's
part
incredible.
of me.
And how many miles?
I just did 50,353.
That's it.
So it's a very low mile. It used to be my daily driver for a while, but it's actually been retired to basically show car.
The Sunday driver.
The Sunday driver, you know, that
no
kind
shame
of
in
deal.
that. And is it still in factory, or have you tuned it at all?
No, I've tuned it, you know, for the time. I've put the heads, the cams, you know, I did everything that, you know, a hot rodder would have done to it. And that's, I made it mine.
Right.
It's no longer
put your personal touch on it.
Yeah, it's a personal touch for me, and I enjoy it, and that's what I like most about it.
I have to ask, have you ever been challenged by a Charger or challenged one yourself?
I have on the highway. It was
All right.
It was a weird experience, and it was black. It had me a black Charger.
Of course.
It was.
You know if it was an RT?
I don't know. I do not know what it was, but I
can only hope.
I knew it couldn't keep up with the Mustang at that point.
Probably not.
So it may not have been.
When was this? What year?
Oh man, I can't remember when the RTs first came out. The black Chargers when they first got reintroduced.
Probably, I think it was maybe 2006 or so, maybe a little earlier.
Yeah, possibly.
05 maybe.
I remember seeing it's black, and I started laughing. I was like, okay, well yeah, you can chase me.
Yeah,
and so I took off, and it was a cool thing to look in the rearview mirror and see it. It was, it was awesome. Cool. It was a cool thing. You know, it was awesome. It's the little things that you remember. It's like, okay, that's part of the movie, and it was cool. Yeah, definitely. You know, you can't beat that. I mean, not at all. Feeling like Steve McQueen for 5 minutes. Yeah, that's the totally cool thing. That's the cool thing.
It makes the experience of owning that car just completely worth it. Correct. Just for that little time.
Just a little bit.
Yep. So recently, about a month or so ago, Ford showed their new 2019 model of the Bullitt. What were your thoughts on that?
Excitement.
Yeah.
You know, just to get more people aware of what the vehicle is. You know, the Bullitt as a group, and the 01s were, you know, basically 55, I think 35 of us, 5,500 of us basically, 5,500 of us that have the car. Not very many people know that, and then 08s came and you expand a little more to our group, and so now we're looking to add more to our group, and that's the thing, and that's the main thing is adding to what you already have and letting the public know, hey, this is what the car is. This is actually a piece of film history.
It really is, yeah.
You know, and I was excited to see it. A lot of people aren't because they you know, they want to keep it low, but I like it. I like Ford's moving with it. I like its 50th anniversary of it. I like getting people just the knowledge of it so that the
brings
vehicles,
in new community.
Yeah, it brings in new community.
to it.
People don't forget about it, and because it's a great car, and the new Mustang platform is a great platform.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I mean, they went
unlike anything they built before.
Yeah, they
have
swung for the fences.
Live rear axle for the first time.
Yeah,
in
they call this the Mako cars. It looks like a shark. I mean, this thing is just it's awesome.
Definitely.
It's one of those that, you know, definitely needed to be a Bullitt car.
Yes,
because of the shape of it, and that's exciting. I like that, and I can't wait to see one in person. I'm hoping to see one in person.
Oh yeah, I hope so too.
And I'm excited for the build. I'm excited for everything on it, and it's just cool. It's a cool car.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and that's going to be the big thing for it, and I can't wait.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, tell me more about the Bullitt community.
Well,
how long have you been a part of that?
I've been a part of it's called IMBOC. It's International Mustang Bullitt Owners Club, I believe what it's called now.
That's the biggest group of
That's the biggest group. That's the
okay.
original. I've been a part of it, I think, since '03. And basically, it's a worldwide. You know, it's free to join. Anybody with a Bullitt can join, or anybody can join. That's a Bullitt head is what they call us.
Okay.
And so it's a community. At first, it was for the car, for the movie, but it morphed into a family. Basically, is what it is. And basically, since our parts are coming hard to find for the 01s and 08s and things like that, it's actually turned into a place where we help each other out. Say, hey, I need a factory exhaust. And I said, well, I got it, man. I'll just ship it to you. You know, we trade. We just give people each other parts for free.
Right.
And it's actually more of a family. Hey, I help you out. They're coming hard to get by. I got a set of brakes. You know, the set of brake, you know, calipers now with the special pony on them. They're hard to find. You know, you're looking at almost $2,000 for them. And I say, hey, if I have a set, you can have it. I just need this part. Okay, well, you can have that. And we started to be...
so everyone just scratches each other's back.
Yeah, it comes into a family where, you know, this guy said, hey, I found a wrecked Bullitt. I'm going to buy it. Do anybody need parts? Yeah, hey, man, give me this part. I'll give you some money for it. And everybody's on the lookout for it. We have members in England, Germany, Australia.
So it's overseas?
It's everywhere, yeah. It's a big community, and that's the main thing. That's what Bullitt means to me now. Yeah, the movie is great in itself, and that's what drew us to the vehicles. But now it's the community of individuals that bring us everybody together as far as Bullitt heads. And that's the main thing, and that's why I think the Bullitt car is the best car, because of everybody.
Oh yeah.
Everybody just loves the vehicle.
It's got a very unique fan base.
Yeah.
And unlike any other Mustang, unlike any other Ford, any other car, really.
Yes, and
it has its own movie, and
and that's the draw for it. And now you have, you know, the movie cars, but then you have the individuals that own it, which, you know,
everyone has their own story.
They have their own story.
Which is so cool. Yeah.
You know, and they have, you know, my father had a 68, you know, you go on that stories and things like that. My father's been a Ford guy since, you know, the 50s.
And I've come across that a lot already, that a lot of it starts with Dad.
Yeah,
which I've
Dad.
noticed, which is super cool.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is my dad did have a pickup with a 390 Ford in it, and that's where it started.
Same motor.
Yeah, the same motor as the Bullitt car, and I didn't know what it was at first, and I just knew I loved the sound of that motor. And then I watched the movie, and I said, well, that kind of recognizable, and then you learn more about the car, and you learn it had a 390. I was like, well, yeah, my father had that. I remember hearing it. You know, he mentioned something about, you know, I remember this chase scene in this movie, and he couldn't remember the movie, but he goes, I wanted my vehicle to sound like that, and that's and that's where things start. You know, that's where everything starts, is the past.
Hello, Alex here again. Today I'm here with Charles Jones. Charles, thanks for having me.
Welcome.
So tell me what we got here.
Got a 2001 Bullitt that I acquired from a friend in Sacramento 4 years ago. That's 8,000 miles on it.
Only 8,000. Wow.
He kept it very low mileage. It had 5,200 when I bought it and added 7,200, or ran it up to 7,200 just getting it home.
Oh, wow.
And it's a garage queen. It's super clean. The guy really did a good job with it.
Looks great. Is this all original? It looks like it so far.
All original except for the tires and the battery.
Tires and battery, huh? Okay.
Tires were still looking like new when I bought it, but driving back across the desert in the summer, I decided to put new tires on it.
Okay, I gotcha. Now the brake calipers, they come in red like that?
Came in red on the 01s.
Okay. They didn't do that for the 08 model, I don't think, right?
Not for the 08.
Okay.
They'll be doing it again for the 19 model.
Oh, very cool. Okay. I see they even got a little Mustang logo on there. That's cool. All right. And
this one's saved for sunny days like today.
yeah,
It's never seen rain.
best day to have them out. Cool. And the shifters in these, did they not have cue balls for the 01s?
No, they're doing a real cue ball for the 19.
Good.
The 08 had a similar ball to this one, but the shift pattern looked a little different. And this one shared heritage with the Mach 1 later on. Same ball.
Right. Okay. Cool. Very cool. And where did you say you picked this one up at?
Sacramento.
Sacramento. Okay.
This one's an early one. It's number 256.
Oh, wow. And how many were in production? I know there weren't many.
A little over 5,500.
5,500, okay. So do you know how many other people have cars like this that are pretty low mileage?
I bet it's down to less than 50.
Really?
And
so they're getting pretty scarce.
you see a few pop up every now and then, but there's not a lot of them left.
Cool.
Just normal attrition over 17 years. A lot of them are gone.
Yeah. I can't remember the last time I've seen an 01 or even an 08, 09 Bullitt on the road. Back when the 08s came out, I'd see a couple, but these days, the only time I see them, and I'm out here interviewing you guys, so.
Yeah, you don't see many.
Certainly don't.
When you get them all together, when it's neat to see 40 or 50 of them.
Yeah, I have yet to see that. Hope I get the opportunity. So behind us here we have a True Blue, huh?
True Blue, this is number 810. I bought this in 2011. It had 35,000 miles on it.
Okay.
And it's 81 or 82,000 now. It's been cross country, East Coast twice, the West Coast twice.
So this is the one you take when you do your tours and stuff, huh?
It's a road warrior. It goes everywhere.
Cool.
And it'll be doing a Route 66 cruise starting in May.
Very cool. Tell me a little more about that. What is that?
4 guys and I started Hoondog back in 2012 as Hoondog Performance Group, and we put on an event each year and try to give back to charity. And this year's event is a cruise from Chicago all the way out to LA, and we'll end up in Chino Hills at the Friends of Steve McQueen car show.
Okay,
So
very cool.
That's a week-long event, and it'll be the second time we've done that one.
When was the last time you did it?
2012.
2012, huh? Okay. Was that a significant year or something?
Nope, just first year and decided to do something crazy.
Okay.
And this year will be the 50th anniversary of the movie Bullitt. And so we decided to celebrate that again. And we've got we're right at 50 people signed up so far for this cruise.
Oh, wow. And when is the cruise happening?
May 26th, we leave Chicago and we arrive into Chino Hills on May 31st. And then the car show's June 1st, I believe.
So then behind us here, we got probably your pride and joy right here, I'd imagine, right?
This car
What
has
do we
a
got?
lot of hard work behind it. It's prototype 08 Bullitt. It was in Popular Mechanics magazine back in '07. Somebody spotted it. Popular Mechanics speculated whether it was a prototype Bullitt. Ford came out, said, "No, bullets are green. Why would we have a red Bullitt?"
Yep, just trying to throw them off.
So Popular Mechanics actually came back and retracted the story and issued an edit.
Oh, cool.
And
Okay.
said they were incorrect. And next thing you know, it showed up in a couple of other places with a couple of green prototypes. And Ford announced the Bullitt a month or two later. And normally when the prototypes are finished with what they're using them for, they crush them.
Oh, that's sad.
The engineer on this one, he kept it alive. He kept using it for different testing, and Ford would call him, tell him we want to crush it. He said, "No, I'm using it for this, I'm using it for that." He kept it alive until 2012, and he helped Hoondog secure this from Ford to save it. It's a big part of history.
Yeah, no kidding. That's incredible.
So
Is it the only surviving prototype then?
it's the only one.
And is it the first one?
I don't know that it's the first one.
Okay.
It was the first one that was seen.
Okay.
Normally after the prototypes, they go to a pre-production model, and those are usually the ones that the press drives. Those are auctioned off or sold to dealerships. But this one, like I said, it's very lucky it wasn't crushed.
Yeah, no kidding. So Imbach still has a presence on Facebook nowadays, where it's probably more active there than it is on its own site now, correct?
Imbach does. Probably the biggest one is Bullitt Owners and Friends, that's run by an Imbach member, Brett Duff. It's got over 700 members, and there's a lot of them.
I want to say it's over like 1,500.
It may be. They're joining all the time, and it's very active. And that's about how active the Imbach forum used to be. There, you could come home, and on a given day, there was 100 posts a day.
Oh, wow.
And lots of craziness, lots of joking, fun, photoshoppers.
Yeah.
It wasn't serious at all.
Oh, yeah, that's good. So it had a fun culture to it. Great. Yeah, I was looking at the Bullitt Owners and Friends page yesterday on Facebook, and just in one day, I saw like all these different posts, and it was like 2 hours ago, 3 minutes ago, 17 minutes ago, and I was just like, how many did they do today?
A bunch.
Yeah, quite a few. So
Brett's done a really good job.
yeah, that's phenomenal to see that people are still excited about these cars and the movie, and so much of that legacy is still continued after 50 years. I think that's just incredible. You ever get any of the Charger community that wants to play ball with you guys, or?
The only time we ever have had any Chargers that felt like coming out was a guy named Arnold. That was the last time he was at Boys Republic that I know of was in 2012, and he has what could possibly be one of the surviving cars, the Charger from the movie Bullitt.
Really?
He's got a lot of documentation on it. I don't know if he fully got it 100% documented, but the last I heard, that car is in Germany now.
Wow.
And sold, if I'm not mistaken, it's sold in the neighborhood of for $1 million.
I could believe it.
Other than that, that's the only Charger we've had a couple of other Chargers show up, but
not
one
too
event
much.
in San Francisco. But other than that, when we did our Route 66 cruise in 2012, we invited everybody on any forum that was Charger related.
Right.
Nothing, just no turnout. Don't know
Man,
why.
oh, that's such a bummer. I feel like that That'd be such a fun opportunity for them, but
It really would, but
oh well.
Bad guys lost.
Yeah, they're sore losers. Even though they probably got the faster car of the two.
Oh,
but
definitely the faster car.
yeah. Oh well. All right. So, I believe you have inside your home some memorabilia and stuff on the walls, correct?
Yep.
Well, why don't we go take a look at that real quick?
Okay.
Sounds good. Let's go.
Good friend Jeff put together a picture for with Steve McQueen and from his different movie roles.
movies, right?
And that was
got to be Great Escape right there, probably. Yeah.
That is
Just watched that last night.
Thomas Crown, Le Mans. It's really a neat picture. It's now one of two. It was one of one. Jeff put that together for me and then stole it. So. And then
Creator's copy.
Another creative design guy put that together for a lot of owners. The license plates on them has our actual Bullitt serial number on them.
He did that unique for every owner?
Did that.
Oh, that's cool.
And then we've got our Miller High Life girl.
Oh,
Every
awesome.
01 owner, if they don't have that poster, they want that poster. They'll pay for it.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Charles. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the tour.
Will do.
All right. You can cut. Hey everybody, Alex again. I'm here today with Vin. Vin, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Alex.
So tell me what we got here.
We have my 1967 Mustang GT390 Bullitt replica.
Okay, so you said 67, huh?
67, it's a year off the movie car.
Okay, yes it is. I don't see the lights on the sides there.
Yep.
It's the dead giveaway. So how long have you had this car?
A little over a year and a half now.
Okay, cool. And have you done anything to it, or is this pretty much the way you got it?
No, paint-wise it was like this. The wheels and stuff were like this when I got it. Done quite a bit of other stuff, you know, underneath what you can't see. I've done brakes, I've done suspension, rear end, headers, exhaust, interiors, a bunch of small stuff all around the car just to make it more drivable, more fun to own.
Do you have any plans of actually trying to get it more to the original look of the car?
I do eventually. I do want to. So this car, it's reasonably close to the movie car. There's a couple of things off with it. I've got the Cobra Jet intake for the motor, which eventually I do want to get rid of and get the right hood, which has the turn signals up there.
I mean, it looks cool, but
it looks cool. It's functional, good
be
power and stuff. But yes, it's not. I mean, the entire point of this car is to replicate the movie car, and it's not. You know.
Yeah.
It's got the incorrect. The tail on it has the little dovetail spoiler from the Shelby, which came with the car, and it was on there, and it was already painted when I bought the car. But
I don't think these were on there either.
So I don't know if that's a 67 thing. I don't know if it's just incorrect, but I think the movie car was just a solid piece.
Right. Yeah. I did have the
louvers up there.
Yeah,
Yes.
I did have those ones.
Yeah, I may do the interiors eventually. I still have the aluminum trim on the inside. It is a.
Is that the factory aluminum trim?
Yeah, it's the factory aluminum trim on that year, but
that looks brand new.
Right.
Like it was made yesterday.
Right. If you get up close, there's actually some oxidation and patina on it. But the trim in the movie car was wood.
Yeah.
So I might do that.
Okay.
Also, the steering wheel. I have a wooden steering wheel. The movie car had a Shelby steering wheel that Steve McQueen had had it was a black leather wrapped Shelby steering wheel. You can find them every now and then, but they're $600, $700, $800.
Oh my!
They're rare, hard to find. They're still made in Europe. You can buy it brand new for
Europe,
about $2,500. The brand new steering wheel that is exactly the same as the movie car.
That's
about
cool.
$2,500.
Man.
Yeah, I'm not spending $2,500 on a steering wheel.
No, I wouldn't either. Yeah, let's see. It's got the cue ball shifter too.
It does.
So that's just like the movie car.
I might get rid of the little gauges on the bottom.
Yeah,
as you know, the movie car was very kind of stripped down.
Yeah, it was bare bones.
Very bare bones
for the most part. And this is fairly flashy.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a little bit of bling.
more, but
Yep, I've got the wrong mirror. I might eventually put the movie. It had like a cone-shaped mirror.
right, yeah,
So I might do that. It didn't have a passenger mirror, but I'm gonna leave mine on just for drivability.
sure, yeah, it makes sense.
Small stuff. Get rid of the antenna eventually.
Oh, right.
Yep.
God, I don't even notice those anymore.
Yeah.
I remember when all cars came with that. Now it's like you get the little weird fin on the back
Right.
center of the.
Or hidden
roof.
underneath or something.
So you got hood pins on it too. Are you gonna keep those?
So when I change the hood to get the right turn signal hood, I'm eventually gonna get rid of the.
A little off there.
It is, yeah. So we took the whole hood off to get the headers on.
Mm-hmm.
This motor is so wide that to get the headers on, we actually had to jack the motor up just a little bit to get the bolts in.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause it actually almost rubs the shock tower.
Really? Wow.
So to get
Tight
the
fit.
headers in, we had to take the hood off. When we put the head back on, I just didn't get the alignment right, and I figured since I'm changing the hood soon anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I might as well just let it be, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's
hear
just
ya.
a couple adjustment screws right there, and I can probably get it right, you know.
And you got a different grill there too.
Oh, so that is the
Closer to the
that is
stock
the
car.
67 base grill,
Uh-huh.
which has the fewest number of fitment holes.
Right.
So the movie car had a plain black grill as well,
Mhm.
no fog lights, none of that stuff. And when I bought this car, it had the little lights in here, and it had the deluxe grill, if you call it that.
Mm-hmm.
Got rid of that and put the 67 base grill, which has almost no extra accessory points. There's a couple little bolt holes right there and right down there for the
yeah.
emblems and stuff, but otherwise it is pretty plain. A couple of the small things I've changed, you know, these little horns underneath.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I put that on, put the right bumper on.
Mm-hmm.
When I bought the car, it had 70 Mach 1 seats in there,
Really?
and they were uncomfortable, number one, because they're just old,
Yeah.
and they just didn't look right because they were high backs, and you know, it would
Right.
almost come up here. So
Right.
just not a huge fan of the high back seats for this genre of car, you know.
So are these like custom seats you got here?
No, so
or-
these seats are made by a company called Procar. They're very inexpensive, but very classic looking. This is their classic series.
Mhm.
It looks, for the most part, like a 60s Mustang
Oh,
seat,
yeah.
but it has the headrest.
The headrests.
A little extra
Yeah.
safety. Also, the bolt string on the lap is a little better.
Mhm.
Keeps you from sliding around if you drive a little aggressively or whatever.
Sure. So do you mind if we take the car for a spin?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
It's only a 4-speed. So when I bought the car, it had 411s, and it would do like 70 miles an hour. It would be doing 4,000 RPM or something crazy like that. So I changed the rear end to a Ford 9-inch and did 325s. So now it actually gets on the highway and drives like a normal car.
Oh, that's good. So how often do you take this for a drive?
Once every 3 or 4 weeks on the weekends, you know, not
Good.
not all the time.
Yeah.
I'll drive it on the weekdays just to go do groceries or go get a haircut or something.
Yeah. Do you like driving this car? Is it
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
cool?
It's very classic, very nostalgic. Still drives like a 60s car for the most part.
Uh-huh.
Most of the other cars drive like modern cars, you know, so
Yeah.
this one's still feels like an actual old car.
Right.
And I see now that when I'm driving this car, I don't know if I want to get rid of the shaker scoop because it's like over there wobbling and shaking as the motor shakes.
Right. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love that you can feel all that power
Oh,
just
yeah.
shaking through your own body.
Right.
Feel it in my feet. It's going right into my chest.
fastest car in the world by any means, but it's got so much character and just feels so great, you know.
So cool.
And you see these seats that I put in. You see how it's kind of just hard and holds you, versus the factory seat was just soft and just it felt like you're sitting in a lazy boy recliner while driving a muscle car. Just not the right feeling, you know. So, or not the factory seats, the seats that it came with. Either the foam was just bad, or the springs were worn out. Just didn't feel right, you know.
When you take this car out for a spin, do you get many looks or people trying to
Oh,
get
it's
your
just
attention?
non-stop. A lot of thumbs ups,
Nice.
a lot of smiling faces, which is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy now, the last year or so since the new Bullets and all that stuff, the last couple of years, like even younger people, like people our age, are you know, giving me thumbs up and smiles and stuff. In the past, it was just, you know, older people that that recognized the car.
Yeah. I think it's so great that younger generations are finding out about these cars.
Right. So I'm sure you knew this, but like the movie Chase was never supposed to be in the movie.
Oh yeah, you're telling me
Yeah, it was never supposed to actually be in the movie. So, like towards the end, they were like, "Hey, let's throw this chase sequence in there too and add some joy to it," and it became the best, most iconic car chase sequence of all time. You know? I don't know if you've ever been in this neighborhood, but it's some of the most beautiful, like, houses and streets you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it goes into my neighborhood from the backside. But when I drive through this neighborhood, people will recognize this car, just like throw thumbs up. It's a lot of hot rod guys in this neighborhood. Like, it's a lot of money too in this neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
Getting to my neighborhood. My neighborhood is the slums of this neighborhood. I'm not joking. Oh, it is, isn't it? There you go. There's another Marauder for you. There you go.
Oh, I can spot those a mile away. I love it.
Got a great collection here.
Thank you, yes, sir.
Well, thank you so much, Vin, for having me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure, yes.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Alex here. So today I'm gonna be driving out from Austin, Texas towards Springfield, Missouri. On my way to the Route 66 tour with the rest of the Bullitt guys. I say rest of the Bullitt guys, I don't have a Bullitt. I drive a Mercury Marauder. You're welcome. I'm about 3 hours behind schedule. So, just getting the car washed now, hence the loud noises. Pretty dirty car. So, should be getting into Missouri later tonight, and then from there I'll be going into Minooka, Illinois, close to Chicago. And there I'll be picking up my dad, and from there we'll be driving down the next day into St. Robert, Missouri. And then that's when the trip begins. So, yeah, looking forward to it. See ya. Morning everyone. So today I am now going to be heading out to Minooka, Illinois. We're going to meet up with all the Bullitt owners and enthusiasts and then stay the night, and then we'll leave and start our tour down Route 66 the following morning. The time is currently 10:24. Should be about a 7-hour drive from Springfield, Missouri to Minooka, Illinois. Not nearly as bad as yesterday's 9.5-hour drive. Not that that was bad, but shorter today. Yeah, I'll be getting there, checking in at the hotel, hopefully meeting with a few of the guys, and then go pick up my dad and come back, and we'll start the next leg of the trip tomorrow morning. All right, see you guys there. Just made it into Minooka, Illinois. I'm just about to pull into the hotel here in a minute where all the Bullitts are at. Hoping to see a parking lot full of them. I really don't know how many are in there. I know there's over 100 people registered for the event, but some people are doing the whole tour plus the show at the end. Some people are starting the tour at a later destination, and some people are just going to the event at the end. So I'm really not sure how many cars are going to be in the lot here. Let's take a look and find out. Ooh, nice. 68. Alright, awesome. Bunch of cars are here already. That's good. Very good indeed. Everyone, Alex here. Got my dad with me. Say hi, Dad. Hi. Alright, so this morning we are departing from Minooka, Illinois with all the Bullitts. It looked like there was about 30 or so cars. They're kind of staggered on the road right now. Day one was exciting to say the least. Not only was this the first time I'd be a part of a car cruise, but it would also be the first time traveling down Route 66. Something I always thought was an overrated idea. How wrong I was. Our first few stops were at old-time Route 66 gas stations, perfectly preserved as staples in our history for all generations to enjoy. I've seen countless pictures and signs of old gas stations before, but this was my first time seeing them in person. They are way cooler in person. Pictures just don't do them justice. Video does a better job, but still doesn't compare to seeing it in person. Our next stop led us to downtown Pontiac, Illinois, where we had a picture-taking free-for-all of the city. There were plenty of interesting places to visit, including a location dedicated for taking pictures of your car. Many people lined up their cars to have their pictures taken against the Route 66 mural and other classically designed areas. But I couldn't let them have all the fun, so I got in on it too. There was also a really nice Route 66 museum that quite a few of us visited. There was no shortage of interesting things to look at. I thought the wall of license plates was pretty cool. At the sound of Paul's obnoxiously loud air horn, which was almost as loud as his hairstyle, we gathered up and hit the road again. We finally hit a good stretch of road to gun it past some cars and get some great footage on the road. Not gonna lie, that Orange Fury Mustang really sticks out from the bunch. I love it. At our next stop, we gathered up and received a bunch of American flags to put on our cars and quickly got back on the road. Soon after, we found ourselves driving through the lovely town of St. James, Missouri, which was decked out in American flags. I was so distracted with the hype of the trip that I completely forgot that today was Memorial Day. I guess that explains the flags. To my surprise, we ended up driving into a car show that looked as if they were expecting us. There was no mention of this in the guidebook, so I was really caught off guard, but it was a super cool surprise. This just so happened to be my first time being a part of a car show. I felt a little weird being one marauder in a sea of Bullitt Mustangs, but everybody seemed pretty accepting of me and didn't mind including me in their reindeer games. Alex here again with Dad. So right before we hit St. Robert, Missouri, where we're spending the night tonight, we're here in St. James, Missouri, where there was apparently a car show kind of thing waiting for us here. Pretty cool. So I don't know how many cars are out here. It looks like there's maybe a few hundred. Pretty good turnout, mostly Fords, handful of other stuff. Really wasn't expecting this. This might have been a surprise from the Hoondog guys. If so, thanks. This is super cool. Great turnout. So let's show you some of the cars here. There were tons of cool cars at the show. There were Mustangs, and you guessed it, more Mustangs. The mayor of St. James was in attendance and was kind enough to welcome the Core 4 leadership of our group to the stage and acknowledge their awesomeness. With all the work these gentlemen put into this trip, it was good to see them getting a moment of recognition on our first day. Another early morning to start the day. The first 2 days of the trip we were on the road by 7:30 or so. But for a fun-filled day of Mustang Bullitt action and Route 66 exploration, it's well worth it. After breakfast and some much-needed coffee, we departed the hotel to begin day 2. Our first stop of the day was at the Munger Moss Hotel. Odd name, cool sign. Unlike some of our day 1 stops, there wasn't much to see here, but it served as a decent warm-up for another busy day. We then hit the road and enjoyed some good cruising. Good morning, everybody. Alex here again. next stop would lead us to the 2018 Mid-America Street Rod Nationals in Springfield, Missouri. Unlike the last show in St. James, these folks weren't impressed with the Marauder, so no reindeer games for me today. Although you can't quite tell from this video, inside the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds were several hundred cars, if not thousands. We even had a special area designated specifically for our group of Mustang Bullits. Shortly after we parked the cars, a ridiculously loud black 68 Mustang pulls up towards our parking area. Turns out this guy is a longtime Bullitt fanatic that's been around since day one of the old Imbach forums. Remember Jeff from Texas? You should. We just talked about him like an hour ago. Well, he joined us on the tour today and was kind enough to introduce me to the owner of this 68, Jimmy.
I loved this group of guys from the very beginning. We were like that. I mean, we were on Imbach. We'd have drunk parties. Remember those days? Online drinking parties.
The Friday night drinking
Jeff told me about those.
Yeah. And what's his name? Kurt and PY.
Yeah,
they were nuts. Colin
was here this morning, but he had to go home.
Oh, really?
He only went to Star St. Robert.
I mean, these guys to me are, like family. They will, no matter, even if I don't have a Bullitt, I'm still family to them and they're family to me, you know?
Most of you guys all met online for the first time.
Yes, it was
incredible.
all online. We didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like when we saw a Bullitt, it was like, oh, are you part of Imbach? And they're like, what's that? Oh, it's all us Bullitt guys. Thing is with the internet, people, things come and go. But these friendships last forever. And I'll tell you, it's all over a damn car. It really is. It's over a car. All them green cars back there, a couple of blue ones and a couple of black ones.
I never thought it. You would have told me this before this all started, that we'd all get to be this close. Because of a car.
But after a while, it all becomes about
It does.
It's all to all these big events just to hang out with everybody.
And the car doesn't matter anymore.
That's right.
I mean, there's plenty of car groups out there. A lot of them, they're too hostile, or they're too aggressive.
Well, we've had our fair share of that kind of
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Well, from what I've experienced so far, you guys are very family-oriented, fun and cool.
Weeding them out.
Yeah, we had a problem a few years ago with one, and I'm not going to go into it. But,
and that happens. But the thing is, we're still a core group, and anybody's welcome.
What a cool guy. He also happened to own a Mercury Marauder.
I just got rid of my 04 Mercury Marauder. I love that
an
car.
03.
Do ya?
That's what I'm
High
driving.
five, brother.
Thank you.
I love those cars.
That's how you know he's extra cool. Sadly, he would not be joining us for the tour, but I could tell that a few group members were really happy to see him at the show. We could have spent several more hours at the show and enjoyed every minute of it, but we had more on the agenda for the day and had to get going. Our next stop would lead us to what was probably my favorite gas station visit of the trip, a Sinclair station in Ash Grove, Missouri. What a gorgeous gas station. Dad described this place as being stopped in time. Good input, Dad. The next stop was a Phillips 66 gas station, also well preserved and neat. At this point, I'm beginning to notice a bit of a trend. Gas stations. Lots and lots of gas stations. I was really excited when we reached our next location, the 66 Drive-In Theater. I absolutely love drive-in theaters, and it's a pity they're so difficult to turn a profit and keep alive. By the looks of it, this one was still in operation. Awesome. Might just have to pay this place a visit again someday in the near future. If memory serves me correctly, which it usually does most of the time, we were running behind schedule and decided to establish a meetup time a few destinations ahead. Cars arrived one by one later that evening at Grady's 66 pub, where they were expecting us for dinner and were making hot dogs. Local Mustangs had gathered around for a little show near the bar, courtesy of the Oklahoma Mustang Club. They were even kind enough to arrange a tour of the nearby Classic Recreations. very interesting place. They have nationwide recognition for their work in restoring classic Mustangs of the 1960s through 1970, including Shelby, Boss, and Mach 1s, and even a Camaro, if you're into that kind of thing. So that was a super cool opportunity to go take a tour. Had a great time doing that, and now we're gonna go to bed, wake up, ready for day 3 tomorrow. I believe tomorrow we're going to Tucumcari, New Mexico, so that should be fun. We'll see you there. Hey, Alex here again with Dad. We're in the car, gearing up for day 3, leaving from Yukon, Oklahoma to Tucumcari, New Mexico. Today we got off to set off on our trip about an hour later than the past 2 days. The day as a whole is going to go by quicker. It's a shorter run, I think a little under 400 miles today, 365. So it should be a quicker and smoother day than yesterday. Still got a great turnout of cars. Let's see, Mike from our first interview with Let's Be Frank joined us today. So that's 2 of the guys I interviewed, 3 actually. Charles, Jeff, and Frank, Charles, Jeff, and Mike are all here. We got Frank Bullitt on the mind. So yeah, right now we're just cruising through. Looks like some kind of township just out of Yukon. Trying to get on the old original Route 66 here. Trying to keep everyone together. It's pretty tough. We got a large crowd of cars. I keep forgetting to count, but I tried to count on the highway and I hit 17, and that was probably only half the cars. So I'd imagine we have maybe 35 cars or so out here. And well, again, still most cars are Bullets, but you know, there's a handful of other cars here too. Mustang GTs, old and new, and then of course the Marauder, but I'm not counting my car. Yep, so it's going to be a fun day. We'll see you guys in Tucumcari later. Day 3 began bright and early with all the cars lined up as usual, ready for another day of fun and shenanigans. It's on this leg of the trip in which we truly begin to see a change of scenery. We're straying away from boring farmlands and entering the southwest United States. Our first stop of the day is at Lucille's. It may sound like a pie shop, but it's a gas station. A little simpler in comparison to the last few. Nevertheless, a good opportunity for a stretch break and to get some decent shots of the cars. Our next stop would bring us to what was one of the most souvenir-oriented stops of the trip, the Conoco Tower Station in Shamrock, Texas. Like the name suggests, the building features a pretty neat tower with Conoco in vertical text. Gorgeous building for some pictures and videos. But the fun doesn't stop there. You can go inside and visit the gift shop full of Route 66 knickknacks. Looks like Jeff found something good. At the sound of Paul's air horn, we'd be on the road again for 2.5 hours before reaching our next stop. The guidebook says, bring your paint. What? So now we're at Cadillac Ranch, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Sort of. Some dude thought it would be fun to stick a bunch of old Cadillacs in the ground like trees and then just leave them there. Brilliant! I love it. I guess the thing to do is to just walk right on up to them and just spray paint them. There had to have been inches of paint on each vehicle. Of course,
we had to leave our mark. It happened to be extremely windy out there that day too, which made things a bit challenging. So after a little graffiti time, we departed and continued west. Next, our travels would bring us to the Midpoint Cafe. And like its name suggests, it marks the halfway point of Route 66 between Chicago and Los Angeles. Unfortunately, I was so distracted by taking videos and pictures that I missed out on enjoying the cafe itself. Oh well. After the cafe, we would visit one last stop before turning in for the night. On our way to some ghost town looking gas stations and buildings, a few of the cars decided to do a little off-roading when the frontage road they were on came to an end. Now, I'm not going to name names, but it seems as if a certain someone who just so happened to be our first interview may or may not have gotten into a little unwanted contact while off-roading. Mike? Lucky that chin spoiler didn't fly off. We were now on our way into Tucumcari, where we would be spending the night in various motels. All the cool people were staying at the Blue Swallow Motel. We had a barbecue and some time to relax, listen to music, and just enjoy each other's company. This was one of the first good opportunities to meet the people you've been traveling with the past few days. As the sun set and darkness overcame the sky, neon lights lit up the motel grounds. Absolutely stunning to see. I only wish I had a camera that was a little more night capable. That night was full of good times and fun memories. As things were winding down, some wacko pulled up on the street next to the motel and did a gnarly burnout. Although the identity of this individual remains a mystery, video evidence suggested it was someone in an orange Boss 302, but that could have been anybody. Luckily, no one was harmed during the burnout. Oh, wait. I vaguely remember there being a body in the middle of the road moments later. Then again, I had a few beers that night, and I may have just been seeing things. We began day 4 by meeting at the Tucumcari Convention Center. We then took the time to take a group picture, one of only a few that we took during the week-long trip. I also took the opportunity to interview one of Hoondog Performance Group's leaders, Greg Autry.
Were you involved in the planning of this?
Yes, so the Hoondog is a group. We have a rather large group. The core groups, Charles, Jones, Kurt Anderson, Paul Rocha, and me, Greg Autry, and then we have a lot of other people that help us out that are also involved with it. I do the website for Hoondog. Primarily, I'm the one who does all the ads to all the events and stuff through our website, and then help wherever else I can on doing the registration, signs up, those kind of things. The rest of the guy, we just all chip in and do what we need to do to make things happen.
So far, with your experience on this trip, how does it compare to the last one in 2020?
No, it's much better. Of course, we have tons more cars. We averaged about 20 to 25 cars, depending on what section. But this one, with at least 10 to 12 more cars, plus other Mustangs on top of that, it's been really, really good. We've been much more organized. And we got, of course, it doesn't hurt to have Ford Performance helping us out here, and they've done a heck of a lot for us, and we really appreciate their support.
As new Bullitt Mustang models come out, like the 2019, you guys see an increase in the community as
we
far
hope
as the size?
Oh, sure. We hope that we can garner those guys into the fold, and at least a section of them become Bullitt heads, and we take them to our next events, and which will be next year. 2019 will be the first year we'll have an event where we'll be able to bring those 2019 Bullets in, so it'll be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, thank you so much for meeting with me, Greg. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Alex and Dad here again. Smile, Dad. There you go. All right. So this morning we are in Tucumcari, New Mexico, and we are departing towards Winslow, Arizona. Still got quite a big turnout of cars rolling. I guess from here on out the numbers are supposed to increase. See, I've been purposely kind of holding back a lot of the fun stuff here, so I'll give you a quick peek at the cars. Alright, and 19 if I can see it. So, we're just about to leave here in a minute. We just got done taking a group photo right out in front of the convention center in Tucumcari, New Mexico, and yeah, we're about to hit the road. We had a nice time last night. Most of the people stayed at the Blue Swallow Motel, and we unfortunately weren't able to reserve a room in time. So we just stayed at a Best Western, but we hung out with the guys till maybe 10 o'clock at night or so and had a good old time. So looks like we're rolling out now. I'll see you later.
We would then depart for what would be the longest leg of the trip. It will be 468 miles until we reach Winslow, Arizona. At least the scenery is getting increasingly better. We would also take some time to drive on the actual Route 66 today. Although we mostly drove interstate highway during our entire trip, today we got the opportunity to drive on the old original Route 66. Just 2 lanes stretching for countless miles. No opportunities for passing here. I felt like a pioneer during the 1800s, traveling west in search of new life and new opportunities. It was a great day for cruising, especially if you had the Bullitt soundtrack handy like Dad and I did. Our first stop of the day would be at the Route 66 Auto Museum in Santa Rosa, New Mexico. This place was packed full of goodies. So much stuff to look at. Model cars, t-shirts, wall decor, you name it, they had it. I can't tell you how frustrating it was to come across places like this knowing I wouldn't have any money to spend on frivolous collectibles. Because that's kind of my thing. Maybe next time. 116 miles later, we would find ourselves gearing up for lunch at Rudy's Barbecue. After lunch, we would make a quick visit to Power Ford, where some servicing was done on a few cars. Then, we were back at it. We would then be on the road for another 115 miles until our next stop. Again, a gorgeous drive. To me, this is what I think of when I hear Route 66, driving this leg of the trip. If you like mild traffic conditions, driving straights, and relaxing with some cruise control, then this was your favorite day of the trip. Finally, we reached the next stop, an Indian marketplace. Another great place for souvenirs and such. I finally gave in and decided to buy a magnet. One of the few things I bought on the entire trip. It actually looked pretty good on my car, so I left it there for the duration of the trip, and a few months later. We would then cross the Continental Divide, gas up 30 miles later, and depart for our next stop at the Petrified Forest National Park. We were absolutely petrified when we arrived and realized that the park was closed. But at this point, we were running behind schedule anyway, so it worked out for the best. Our last stop of the day would be at the Jackrabbit Trading Post. We didn't stay long, wasn't necessarily much to see, but I did grab a quick photo of the Marauder and the giant rabbit. Who you got in the best 0 to 60 here? So, day 5, Winslow, Arizona. Now, I know what you want, and I know what you're expecting. A particular song that makes all the sense in the world to play right now. Due to copyright law, I'm not even going to try to hassle with playing it. So, this will have to suffice. Here we are at Standin' on the Corner Park in downtown Winslow, Arizona. What a super cool contribution to the city. For many folks, this very location might be considered the very heart and soul of what Route 66 means to them. Freedom, friendship, and a love for the open road. I had set up 15 minutes early or so before the group would drive through, only they didn't quite come the way I was expecting. Oh well. Ooh, nice Shelby. We would then hit the road and make our way to the first stop of the day at the Two Guns Ghost Town, just 24 miles outside of Winslow. It was a fairly cool stop, some pretty decent opportunities for walking around and taking in the sights and snagging some pictures, or cleverly thought out video. We would end up spending a lot of time here, but not necessarily because there was much to do. One of the old Mustangs had struck a bit of bad luck when it was failing to start. Luckily, we had the best group of bullet heads to help sort things out. We needed more time to fix it than what we had during a scheduled stop, and had to continue the cruise to keep schedule. Luckily, another Bullitt owner had decided to trailer his Bullitt on the cruise, and decided to take his off and drive it, allowing the 68 to tag along until it could be fixed. Thanks, Steven. Our travels would then lead us to the Pine Breeze Inn in Flagstaff, Arizona. Look familiar? You might recognize this location if you're a fan of Easy Rider. At this stop, I took the opportunity to interview one of our drivers that made the trip all the way from Canada.
My name's Chris Wodicka. I'm from New Westminster, British Columbia. I have two 2001 Bullets. One is 3549 and the other one's 2182. And with three of my friends that came with us, we brought both of my Bullets on the Route 66 tour. So roughly going to be at least 6,000 miles plus on each car. So changed the oil when I left, and changed the oil when I get home. I've always had, at least since I was 19, basically, I've had, two Mustangs, and I've just, rotated them out. But in 2001, when the Bullitt came out, it was like, wow, it's like something I really wanted. But in Canada, it was 38 grand, and it was like way out of my price range. So I waited a while. So in 2007, I found one that had 80,000 kilometers, 50,000 miles at a price that I could afford, 15 grand Canadian. So it would have been around 12 US. And so I bought the car. And then, but the funny story about buying the car was, one of my friends is a GM guy. He's a Camaro guy. And I was saying, you need to get into a Mustang. So I told him, and said, hey, I found this Bullitt. Let's go look at it. So he looked at it and he's humming and hawing. I told him, if you don't buy this car, I'm buying it. And he says, well, I don't think I want it. And I told the guy, take 15, done. So I ended up with a Bullitt in 2007. So signed up at Inbach, and then, I've been participating in tons of events since.
Before hitting the road, a dozen or so of the menfolk decided to recycle their morning coffee back into the world underneath a nearby bridge. I hope they washed their hands. Next up, our journey would take us high up into the mountains to our next stop in Williams, Arizona. My first impression, wow! If I could describe Williams, Arizona in just 2 words, I would say hidden gem. Due to the altitude, it felt 10 to 15 degrees cooler than prior locations on the trip. It was a joy to drive through and an incredibly fun place to settle in for lunch and just walk around. This place was Route 66 Tourist Central. It was a consensus of many group members that this was a place that should be revisited again in the future for a longer period of time. Just stay away from those bathrooms and watch out for those aliens. Next, we'd find ourselves at the Hackberry General Store, one of the most rustic looking gas stations. Loved the overall look and feel of this place. Shortly after that, we found ourselves making an unscheduled stop at Anderson Ford Lincoln, where we joined a small car show at their dealership. We then boogied our way on over to the Cool Springs station for a little break before venturing to our final destination. I was the first to spot an awesome place to take pictures from across the road. super cool view of all the cars from up here. Apparently, I missed a little meeting that was going on down below. By the looks of this picture, it seems as if everyone is totally stoked to see a porta potty. I don't see the appeal, but whatever. We have one more stop to make. Oatman, Arizona. Absolutely stunning city. It was such a small town, I honestly thought it was an unbelievably well-preserved ghost town. Nope, it's a legitimate town. Just so happened I didn't see anyone there besides our group. The entire town was closed for the day, but it was a lot of fun to simply roam around the streets, socialize with the other drivers, and take some photos. Exiting Oatman would be what I considered the most thrilling drive of the entire cruise. A series of winding roads lead you up and down the mountainside. You didn't want to drive fast though, especially being that it was approaching sunset and every corner you turned you were staring into a blinding sun. Definitely needed good brakes during this stretch. Truly remarkable drive nonetheless. It was dark outside by the time we reached Laughlin, Nevada. We'd be spending the night at the Aquarius Hotel and Casino. We huddled in a circle of lawn chairs and socialized for a few hours before turning in for the night. We hit the road that morning on our way to Chino Hills, California, and made our first stop at Roy's Motel Cafe in Amboy, California. This was a neat place to stop. Seemed pretty vacant and had lots of space to park the cars. Great opportunity for some pictures. It was here that we met a popular automotive journalist who wanted to take some pictures and video footage of the cars. Being that he wanted video of the cars on the road, he needed someone to drive his rental 2018 Kona Blue Mustang GT while he took the video. My dad stepped up and volunteered with a smile on his face. We would then depart Roy's on our way to our next stop at the Ludlow Cafe. Small and quaint, but we didn't stay long. After waiting for a train to pass in the middle of nowhere, California, we then ventured to the Baghdad Cafe. At some point on the way to the cafe, I had accidentally found myself on an adventure following driver David Midgley. While the group had taken the original Route 66, we somehow ended up on I-40. I used the opportunity to get ahead and try to get a count of the cars. The group probably thought I was a carefully placed cop up ahead of them, just waiting for someone to slip up. Or maybe not. They may have been used to seeing the Marauder by then. After rejoining the pack, we made it to the Baghdad Cafe. Unfortunately, my dad had been driving that Mustang since Roy's, so I haven't been able to get any more on-the-road footage. After some stressful traffic-packed driving, we started filtering into the Los Angeles area. The first stop was at the Wigwam Motel in San Bernardino. We got to tour one of the rooms and it was super cool, if not extremely cramped. Our next stop would be one of the most memorable parts of the entire trip. Although there were 2 more destinations scheduled for the day, there was also a private screening of Bullitt being shown at a movie theater in Chino Hills. Dad and I decided we wanted to check into the hotel and get to the theater before it started. We got there just in time. The theater was packed. Come to find out, even Steve McQueen's first wife, Neil, was in attendance that evening and shared a few words with the audience. That was truly special. After the movie, the Hoondog crew hosted a raffle in the Ayers Hotel banquet room. But before we began, the driver of that awesomely blue Shelby, Treva Gonzalez, took a moment to acknowledge and thank Paul and Charles for their leadership during the week-long event.
I just want to say, I know he makes it look really easy, but it's not an easy job having 40 to 50 cars following you around, and I just want to thank him for everything he does. It's not easy, trust me. Thank God he's orange, not green, right? And Charles for all the maps and everything he does, and walking.
We also had a little surprise in store for some lucky members.
Something happened this past week, and somebody had a birthday. Now, it wasn't just a regular birthday. They may have turned like a monumental birthday, like, I don't know, maybe 50. So, to our good friend Cole from Ford, we want to wish him a happy birthday.
There's another birthday.
Yes.
Wanda.
She
didn't tell us.
We're not going to tell us. Don't worry about that. Happy birthday and go.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mama. Happy birthday to you.
Finally, it was raffle time. There were hundreds of items on the table up for grabs if you were lucky enough to win. And the best part is, all the proceeds went to various Hoondog charities, including JDRF, Make-A-Wish Michigan, and Boys Republic. There were plenty of different things to choose from, including posters, model cars, and metal signs, just to name a few. Even I won an item or two.
4130.
Okay, I might have won like 6 times. Needless to say, it was pretty fun. To finish the night, Paul would present 2 of their annual awards to 2 well-deserving bullet heads.
First one is the Cardone Lindbergh Award. And Fred Cardone used to do a lot for the Bullitt community many years ago and tragically passed away. And Mr. Lindbergh there was an engineer at Ford who was very instrumental in the Bullitt, as well as having his own Bullitt, which he tracked, and he too tragically died very young. So we created the Lindbergh Cardone Award, Cardone Lindbergh Award, and it basically goes to the person who just is everything about Bullitt.
Everything Bullitt.
So it's all voted on by the community, and this year Tony Alonso won it, except he was too busy doing other stuff. So that's irony where I come from.
Yeah.
So he's not here.
So we're going to re-engrave it.
We may have told him on Tuesday when he was here, or whatever day he was here. And I told him I would give him a call when we were done, but given he's in Carlisle in the rain, and it's probably 1 o'clock in the morning at least.
Yes. I say let's call him.
I say so. There's Tony's award, and we'll get him.
Wait. He's gonna love the picture of you with his award.
Yeah, let me hold it.
I do.
Take your shirt off and hold it.
He's already done that.
I gotta sleep.
He's already rubbed it all over himself.
All right, so the next award is the Dan Hickey Memorial Award. And Dan was a very good friend of ours. And he purchased a black 01 new and went to a lot of the events with us. And again, tragically, he passed away 3 years ago now? Yeah. And we allow his, what would we allow? We ask his wife to choose someone who, in her opinion, is what Dan is to the community. And Dan was the guy that if you broke down, he always had that part in the trunk, or he was willing to give you his spare tire to get you to wherever you had to go.
Did you meet him, Mike?
So Dan passed away 3 years ago, and whenever Molly's up to it, she chooses a recipient. And it's basically someone who would be the same as what Dan does. And this year's recipient is Charles Jones.
And give Molly a hug. Like Trevor said, we do this for you guys.
Say something. You won the award.
I'm not giving up my spare tire, but I'll call AAA for it.
Well, this year's winner is really easy.
According to the guidebook, today has been designated as a free day. There were a few recommendations provided in the book. Some people chose to drive out to Santa Monica to truly complete the Route 66 journey. Others went to Hollywood. One thing's for sure, there was no shortage of things to do today. Dad and I joined up that day at the Chino Hills Ford dealership with a handful of others. It was a small turnout, but it was an excellent opportunity to interview a few more folks. One of the questions I had asked Charles back when we had first interviewed him was if he knew anyone that had created a Bullitt tribute car based on the S550 platform before the Bullitt was officially announced for the 2019 model year. Richard Nelson is that guy.
My name is Rich Nelson. I'm from Orlando, Florida. I have a 2018 Mustang GT that I had customized at Richard Petty's garage. They painted it dark Highland green, just as the 2001 and 2008 Bullets are. And a unique portion thing of this is that it's got a 10-speed automatic, which the new 2019 Ford Bullitt is only going to have a 6-speed or 6-speed manual. Orlando's traffic is bad enough now that you really need something to shift. So I've got my 01 and an 08 Bullitt that I can use to continue to run through the gears with a stick shift. My story begins in high school in Fort Lauderdale in 1968. The movie Bullitt came out. A friend of ours, of mine, had a 67 dark Highland green GT that he put roll bars in and rebuilt the engine and everything. And we used to go out and jump the railroad tracks in Fort Lauderdale after 9 o'clock at night.
When was this, when did you decide to make this particular car here?
Well, about this time last year, we were up at the new Mustang Museum that's being built. They were introducing it to us. And one of the side trips was to go to Richard Petty's garage. And I was never a NASCAR fan or anything, but I knew Richard, I knew his reputation and that. So we went up there and went through the museum, and it's his family runs the museum, so it's, you're talking with people who know him. And he came out and spent over an hour with all of us, just talking to us and signing anything you put in front of him. Nice guy. Then they toured us through their shops, and they actually do pre-title Mustangs. They do similar modifications to what is here, but they're on an approved Ford list. And the workmanship on it was fantastic. And my wife actually said, "Have you thought about having them do a Bullitt for you?" And immediately you go, "Where do we sign?"
Yeah.
So we went through, some negotiations. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to have a 17 or an 18, and I really wanted the 10-speed automatic that was coming out in the 18s. So we just waited until November, ordered the car. We were headed on a world cruise, so we were going to be out of the country during the time that they're doing the work. So I ordered it from Ford. They delivered it directly to Petty, and Petty did all the mods while we were gone. I picked it up 2 weeks ago in North Carolina.
So you've only had it for 2 weeks?
Yes.
Oh my God, just in time.
Yep. Picked it up 2 weeks ago, drove it back to Orlando, took off for this trip. So we got over 4,000 on it.
Oh wow.
Now. And it's a joy to drive. The automatic is really nice. And if you don't, if you want to play with it with the stick, it's got paddle shifters. And,
oh sure, How did you feel when Ford came out with the actual 19 Bullets? Were you a little disappointed knowing that you had already kind of committed to this project, or were you still kind of grateful you had your own thing?
No, well, you know, obviously I got the automatic I wanted in it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is the wheels. When the wheels that they're putting on the new ones aren't exactly what we're used to on the Bullets.
Right.
You know, and that would have been something simple to swap out. You know, I could have done the same thing with the Bullitt, but no, you know, Ford had their reasons for not releasing or making their announcement when they did, and I just had to take a shot at it because they might not have ever done a 19.
All right, thank you so much, Rich. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All Forders,
Good luck with it.
please. All Forders.
Richard definitely has a unique vehicle to say the least, and Petty's Garage did a remarkable job with it. I think they really did it justice. Next, I interviewed Mike Calicott, owner of a 1967 tribute car.
Okay, I'm Mike Calicott from Fort Smith, Arkansas. This is a 67 Mustang that I drove out from Arkansas.
All right. So, did you buy it like this, or did you make any changes yourself?
No, this car was stripped and going to a crusher. The top was pushed in, the back was bashed in, no motor, no interior. We had a clean slate, and actually my son built it for me. And, so I took good care of it for the first few years, but I've had a lot of fun just driving. So that's where it is now.
All right. Is this your first event, or have you been on events with us before?
This is my 9th time to come to the Bullitt Republic show. I come every year. I think 2010 was the first year.
Cool. Have you done the 66 run at all before, or is this the first time?
Well, I do it usually I start in Oklahoma City because of where I live, and I do different parts of it different years.
Okay.
And I've done it in Chicago twice.
Have you done any Bullitt Nationals before as well?
I've been to all of them.
Okay, very cool. Were you at the movie last night?
No.
No.
Fell asleep.
Oh, lame.
But I kind of know the movie.
Yeah. Did you see the movie when it first came out?
I think I did.
Yeah. Okay. Is that what got you into this kind of car here, or you just like the green?
I was a Pontiac guy.
Oh boy.
When I was a senior in high school, the GTOs come out, and that's what I got hooked on. And the way I got into this is my daughter needed a car to drive in high school. And I told her, just, I don't care what you get, as long as it's an old car I can work on. And she ended up picking out a 68 Mustang Coupe, 6-cylinder, automatic, Lane Jane's secretary's car. She drove that until she went to college, and we got her a new car. And her brother, who was 2 years behind her, out of the clear blue, said, "Dad, I would like to have her car and fix it up." So he got her car, and I told him, I said, "You need to get a shop manual and join the Mustang Club." And that's what we did. He did. And he fixed it up, and I think it was 1997, the Mustang Club went from Fort Smith to Mustang, Oklahoma for the Grand Nationals. And I followed behind, and I'd do much like what you're doing. I'd run ahead and take pictures, and I thought that's just pretty cool, those old cars going down the road like that. Yeah. So after the Nationals were over and we went back, I told my son, I said, I would like to have a Mustang, an old one to drive, but I'm not interested in showing it. I want it to drive. And so, of course, this was right after Gone in 60 Seconds had come out. And,
the original one?
Huh?
The original one?
No,
the remake?
The later, yeah, the remake, Nicholas Cage. And so you couldn't find a fastback. Everybody was making Eleanors out. Well, I found this when I was at work. I was driving out in the country, and I saw a rollback at an Easy Mart thing with 2 68s sitting on the back of it. So I turned around and went back and asked the guy, where he got them to sell them. And he said, "No, but I've got this one sitting over in the field that I'll sell." So I think I gave him $400 for the shell. Nah, it was a shell.
Okay.
And we took it and had the sheet metal work done, and then brought it home, and my boy did the rest of it in the garage. And it was a father-son thing. We had a lot of fun going to swap meets and getting parts. But anyway, that's how I got into the Mustang business. And to be honest with you, I can't think of a car that would do the job better than what this does for what I want to do. It's simple, easy to work on, goes good enough to suit me. And so anyway, that's how I got into the Mustang business.
All right, thank you. What do you think of the other people, the other enthusiasts and owners? What's your impression of them?
Of all of my Bullitt buddies?
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of the reason I come every year.
Yeah.
I like to come see everybody, and everybody has a good time, and everybody's kind of got their different interests, what they like about the cars. We all come together and have fun. So that's what it's all about for me.
Very true. Right. Anything else you'd like to share or add in?
I guess that's about it.
That's about it?
Yeah.
All right.
Other than that, I'm lucky to be running around with these guys.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
From Pontiac GTO to Ford Mustang. Now that's what I call moving on up in the world. No offense, Pontiac. The last interview of the entire trip would be of another of Hoondog's core leadership. You know, the one with the mohawk.
My name's Paul Rocha from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and I'm driving my 2012 Boss 302.
All right. Do you have any other Mustangs?
I have another 6, actually. GT350R, Mach 1. I have 3 2001 Bullets, 1965 Coupe, and there's another one somewhere I can't think of right now.
All right. So why didn't you bring the Bullets?
Well, my Bullitt is a very high horsepower race-based car, and unfortunately, one of the turbochargers lost the seal a couple days before heading out, so I had to bring this one.
Okay, so you said you had 3 Bullets, and you only drive one of them, or?
No, I drive the other 2. One is they're all 2001, and one is black, and that's pretty much stock. I have a blue one that is supercharged, and then my original green one I bought in 2001 that has twin turbos and about 1,000 horsepower.
Okay, cool. So what is your involvement with the group? What do you do?
Well, pretty much organize the corporate relationship part of it. I work closely with Ford and a lot of their suppliers, and arrange for things like having the pre-production cars on the tour, and essentially organize.
Okay. And you do that through Hoondog, correct?
That's correct.
All right. So how long have you been doing that then?
Unofficially since about 2007-ish, and then a few years back we decided it was time to turn it into a charitable organization, nonprofit, and Charles, Kurt, Greg, and myself got together and created Hoondog. So we put on these events, and all of our proceeds go off to a number of children's charities.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. How has it been planning for this trip? Obviously, there's a lot of logistics and a lot of planning ahead of time. So just can you talk about that process?
Sure. It took about 7 months worth of for all the planning, with all of the stops and books, and just again the involvement of Ford and all the support they gave us, and getting everybody lined up at Boys Republic and whatnot. So it was about 7 months of work getting this thing organized.
Okay. And for the drive down Route 66, you've been leading the pack pretty much the whole way. You've been doing a pretty good job. We appreciate that. How have you felt about it?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not going to lie that when we would approach one of the stops and I'd finally see it, it was kind of a whoa moment. We found it. We're not lost. So, but it was good. It was a lot of fun leading the pack, and hey, I got to get fuel before everybody else did usually.
Yeah, that's good. This is your first time leading the pack, or?
No, I've done this in the past.
Okay, got experience then.
Yeah, a little bit.
Cool. Tell us a little bit about the raffle.
It was a killer raffle. Like we had, again, our partnership with Ford has just been amazing, and they provided us with some pretty kick-ass raffle prizes, and it was obvious that the people thought so too, because that's probably the most we've ever sold in raffle tickets in all the years we've done this. So it was a pretty amazing thing.
That's fantastic. Okay, and you said all the proceeds from that go to the charity tomorrow, correct? Or?
That's correct. Well, we split it up between 3 charities. We have Boys Republic, Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, and the Make-A-Wish Michigan.
Okay.
So we split up all the proceeds to.
Gotcha. Are you able to share with us the amounts that we were able to raise?
Right now, we don't have it yet. We haven't totaled everything up yet, but.
Will there be an announcement in the future?
There will be.
Okay.
Right now, just off the top of my head, we're over $2,000 already. So.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does that compare against previous years?
Quite a bit better. When we did this in 2012, we didn't have as big of a turnout. We didn't have the support from Ford, and I think it was $800. That was it. So probably 3 times as much, which is pretty cool. And, it shows the support we get from the members that ride with us.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts and feelings on the group of people that come to these events?
Oh, they're all whacked. Oh yeah, they're totally whacked. They're. I mean, let's face it. Let's start off in Chicago and drive 2,700 miles, and make all these stops along the way, and put all the miles on their cars and not have to worry about it. It's kind of refreshing, because normally you get people with nice Mustangs, and it's like, I don't want to put the miles on it, but no, they're all whacked, and we all fit in together.
That's good. I think Jeff was telling me the best way he could explain it was it's like a family reunion a family actually like.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a family that you like, because you don't have to be there, unlike your regular family. So we get out and we've been to weddings together. We've spent Christmases together. We've been sadly to a funeral together. So it's definitely a unique bunch.
Mm-hmm. Any other sign-offs, anything? Anything else to say?
No, I think that covers it. It's definitely been, it's kind of bittersweet that it's almost over. I mean, again, we worked for 7 months setting this up, and it's a couple days away from being over, and a little bittersweet, but I think overall it was a huge success, and everybody got out and had some fun, and got to hang out, and we got to raise money, and it's pretty much overall a success.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Paul. We really appreciate everything you do.
My pleasure. Thank you.
This was a bittersweet day for us all, and few felt it the same way Paul did. After 7 months of planning and organizing and a long week of hard work and leadership, things were coming to an end. Today is what you might consider to be the grand finale of the trip. We would be corralling our herd of Bullitt Mustangs at the Friends of Steve McQueen Car and Motorcycle Show at the Boys Republic in Chino Hills, California. If that name rings a bell, that's because this is where Steve McQueen spent a few of his teen years trying to turn his life around. This is another one of those goosebump moments throughout the trip, knowing you're at a location that was so important in Steve's life, and you're there to help honor his life and legacy. His son, Chad McQueen, was in attendance that evening, as was actor Peter Fonda from Easy Rider. One of the highlights of the show was the award ceremony where handcrafted trophies were given to the award winners. Oh yeah, I suppose I should mention that the Hoondog Performance Group won King of Cool Chad McQueen Award. Throughout the trip, there had been a fairly consistent amount of cars on the cruise, about 30 to 40. When we arrived at the show, we joined more from around the country. Richard was almost right. We would now include ourselves in a group comprised of 82 Bullets and tribute cars. Still very impressive. I even managed to register the Marauder into the show. Sadly, this would be the last car show the Marauder would ever attend, as I would end up totaling it during a nasty Minnesota winter 8 months later. So, thank you to all my fellow Bullitt heads for allowing the Marauder to tag along. Today, several Bullitt heads had gathered in San Francisco to run the chase route, just like in the movie. Minus the flying hubcaps, of course. Unfortunately, I would need to make the return trip home, so I was not able to witness this in person. Luckily, the community was able to share some cool content with me. Although I don't know the full details of the event, it certainly looks like they had a wonderful time. I can only imagine the smiles on all the drivers' faces during this moment. Just imagine driving on the same streets that Steve McQueen drove on over 50 years ago, in a car inspired by the classic 1968 film. You just can't beat that. Happy 50th anniversary, Bullitt. Here's to 50 more.
So today is now Tuesday, which I believe is June the 5th. And yeah, the whole trip is over now. And today was my first day back at work. Back to reality, fun's over. Wow, just that whole trip was just incredible. Like, words simply can't describe how much fun and how exciting and unforgettable that whole experience was. I think I was gone for almost 2 weeks between driving there, doing the 66 run, and then driving back. I drove 3,776 miles on the Marauder, and that car handled the road like a beast. Like that, I'm so proud of that car. I will admit I don't maintain it as good as I should, but that car is a tank, and I'm so proud of that thing. I love that car. I'm so fortunate to have had the opportunity to have my dad out with me, and thankful that he had the opportunity to come out with me. So thank you, Dad, for joining me. I would not have been able to do this trip without you. So thank you for all the support. Thanks for helping me drive while I was doing all the video work. And yeah, thanks. I'd also like to thank the Hoondog Performance Group. Thank you so much for all the hard work in putting the event together and coordinating, and I can't imagine how much work went into it. I know I was talking to you guys a little bit about it, and I think Paul said it took about 7 months of planning to do. Yeah, I can believe it. That was a lot of stuff going on there. So thanks for everything that you guys did. Thank you, Paul, for leading the pack pretty much the whole way. I know if I was on a tour, you know, running 66 like that, I wouldn't want to be out in front of the pack leading everybody the entire way. So thanks for stepping up to the plate and doing that. I know it's not your first time, but again, thank you. Great job. Thank you, Charles, for working so hard on putting that like a little itinerary book together for us. That helped immensely. I know I was thinking, oh, I got a GPS, I'm not going to use this. Yeah, no, I use that a lot. So yeah, thank you. It's super helpful. A lot of hard work, and it really paid off for me. So thanks. And let's see, thank you for Ford, or thank you to Ford Motor Company for sending the pre-production 2019 Bullets, PP002 and PP007. What an incredible experience to be able to drive with those cars. That was absolutely phenomenal. I know personally I spent so much time trying to get pictures and videos that it took me like 4 or 5 days to actually sit back, relax, and kind of just enjoy looking at the car. You know, those two pre-production models. and that was just absolutely phenomenal. So thank you, Ford, for doing that. And I'd also like to thank everyone that I interviewed before I came out on the trip. I've been doing interviews of owners here locally in the Austin, Texas area since January. So I'd like to thank Mike and Jeff, Roland, I think I did Charles next up in Houston, and then last I interviewed Vin. So thank you guys very much for allowing me to come out and talk to you guys about your cars and get some great video footage. So thank you. That's how it all got started. I wouldn't have had the opportunity and met the people I needed to meet without you guys, so thanks. And last, I would like to thank my film crew. Yeah, all right. So unfortunately, I did not have anyone on my film crew with me during the cruise or the event in Chino Hills, but they did help me with the interviews. So I'd like to thank Don, Dante, Steven, and Cruz. You guys are awesome. I really wish I could have had you guys out there with me. I would have done things a little differently and gotten some better results, but it was a good opportunity for me to work on my personal video skills, and I certainly felt happy with what I got, so that's good. But maybe next time, right? Bring you guys out. All right. The last thing I'd just like to share is we got the opportunity to have a private screening of the movie Bullitt in a movie theater in Chino Hills. Thank you to that movie theater for screening it, and thank you for those who put in the work to arrange for that to happen. I don't know how many people were in there. It had to be over 100 people, or pretty close. I mean, there were a lot of people in there, and it was absolutely phenomenal because I got to watch that movie with my dad for the first time ever on the big screen. And after hearing everyone's stories about being able to see Bullitt in the movie theater, and that's how so many people's stories started. Yeah, that's something I had never experienced until just recently, and now I can say that I did the same thing. Granted, that's not how my Bullitt story started, but I still get to share in with that experience, which is absolutely phenomenal. Again, just words don't describe. And just to do that with my dad, who got me into Bullitt, was, yeah, I wouldn't have had it any other way. It was just the best father-son experience you could possibly ask for. I could possibly ask for. Yeah, so it's just really weird being back home now, and it's just back to everyday normal life, and already now I'm thinking about the next time we all get to meet together, and it's only been 2 days since we left, so looking forward to next time, whenever and wherever. I believe it's Bullitt Nationals in Topeka, right? I'll probably still show up with the Marauder, but I don't know, there's a Bullitt in my future somewhere, I know it. Alright, see you guys later.
Two months or so after the tour, people were starting to receive their 2019 Bullets that they had ordered earlier in the year. I had seen one such story that I felt truly belonged in the documentary. I then made the decision to make one last trip for an interview just 5 days before graduating from college and moving back to Minnesota.
Hello, I'm here today with Rob and Gordon Robertson. We are at what is the name of the event today we're at, guys?
The Mustang Stampede.
Mustang Stampede in Mustang, Oklahoma. So behind us here we have a 2019 Mustang Bullitt, 2008 Mustang Bullitt, 2001 Mustang Bullitt, and the car that inspired them all, the 1968 Mustang GT. Rob, which of these do you own here?
I own the 68 Fastback, the 08, and co-owner with my dad on the 01.
All right, that means Gordon, you must own the 01 and the 19 here?
The 19 is mine, yes.
All right. So which of the two is your favorite?
The favorite?
Yeah, the favorite.
I've got to say the 19.
Yeah.
The others are, well, I guess half of the 01 is mine, but it's just newer.
Faster.
Got all the new hooks, bells, and whistles,
Yeah.
and it's. But the 01 is a lot of fun to drive.
Right. And that 01, where did you get the 01 from?
We met a
Charles
guy.
Charles Jones.
Yeah, Charles Jones is his name.
Of course,
He was on the tour with y'all, the Mustang tour. We met him at when they stopped at Yukon and got to know him a little bit. And I don't know if Rob told him then that we were looking for an 01, but he said that he had one that he hadn't advertised, but it might be for sale.
Yeah.
And they got together on the phone or an email later on, and he decided he would sell it. He said he wasn't going to sell it to a kid that was going to make a hot rod out of it or not take care of it. He said he wanted to sell it to a collector because that car had never even been in the rain. When he went to get it in California, when he bought it from an individual, he said he drove over 200 miles out of his way to avoid thunderstorms. And so the day that we had decided to meet in Dallas, he was nice enough to come to Dallas so we didn't have to drive all the way to Houston.
From Houston.
We, it was raining like crazy.
Of course.
And I thought, you know, we started looking at our schedules and it was going to be like 4 or 5 more weeks, because he could just do it on the weekend, 4 or 5 more weeks before we were going to be able to do it. And so he said, well, what the heck, you know, it'll get wet.
Yeah.
And but he had sent us pictures of this car, and I've told some people, there wasn't a square inch on that car you couldn't have eaten your dinner off of. It was the cleanest.
Good way of
It
putting
was
it, yeah.
cleaner than the 19 underneath when I got, when we
wow.
bought it. It was amazingly clean
that's
for an 18-year-old car. And it had 8,000 miles on it. And but we actually, I had ordered the 19, and we were waiting on it. It took about 4.5 months. And while we were waiting, we kind of got together and thought, well, we're going to have all 3 of them except for the 01. And at the time, neither one of us were really in love with the 01 body style, but it was kind of growing a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we got a chance to buy that clean a car at a really good price. There was worse cars that were asking a lot more money than that for it.
Yeah.
And we just said, well, we'll have all 4 of them. So we kind of, I kind of got antsy waiting on the 01. I mean, waiting on the 19. So we kind of.
But that body style has grown on us very much so now.
It's just with the Bullitt model in particular for New Edge, or just New Edge in general?
Well, as far as, well, I'm talking about the 01 body styles,
Right.
but well, I don't know. I mean, I like them all in their own right. I mean, and my wife has a 17 GT, this body style. My mom, who got, when she was, what, 70, got her first Mustang. Of course, you got yours at that age too. But she has a 16 GT. And
it's
then
ruby red.
My son, who's standing off camera here, keeping people from walking in front of us, he's got a 14 Roush Stage 3. And I know he's 17 and people think you're an idiot for letting your kid have that, but he's a good kid. He hasn't abused it at all, probably because of the little computer plug-in I have that tells me everything he's doing everywhere he is on my phone. So he knows he can't do anything with it without me finding out. So we're kind of a Mustang family.
That's awesome.
And then we both drive F-150 Ford
So
trucks.
Fords all around.
All Ford.
When the 19 was starting to be advertised and teased by Ford, what were the thoughts running through your minds? Was it ever?
You want me to tell this real quick?
Well, we'd heard a lot of rumors about the 19, and everybody we thought it was going to be an 18 because Ford's big on 50-year anniversaries.
Right.
We thought it was going to be an 18, and we started seeing stuff on YouTube where they were actually test driving a car that had didn't say Bullitt or anything on it, but they said, I think this might be the new one, you know, and of course there's all kinds of speculation. Well, then it didn't come out as an 18.
Right.
And at the same time, Sean Kiernan, who was the son of the guy that bought the Bullitt
years ago.
The actual movie car.
Yeah, the actual movie car first went to a employee of the studio, and he kept it for a short period of time, and he sold it to a police detective in was it
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
And his name was also Frank, wasn't it?
Frank, Maraca is his name,
okay.
And Frank kept it for a while. Actually took it on a couple of stakeouts, he said, and but then he decided to sell it, and he put it in Car and Driver or Road and Track magazine for $6,000, and Mr. Kiernan bought it. And he bought it as a daily driver. And his wife was a school teacher, and she drove him to and from school for 3 years.
That's pretty cool.
And few people knew that it was the movie car. It was advertised for sale as the movie car when Kiernan bought it.
Right.
And,
Well, and all those articles were coming out in the Mustang magazines. The Bullitt's been found. The Bullitt's been found.
Yeah.
I can't remember the guy that was writing the articles, but he had actually been allowed to go see it, but was sworn to secrecy. And I was just like, God, I want to see that car. I want to see that car. Well, I'm going to tell something a little embarrassing on me here. When we thought the 18 was going to come out as a Bullitt, I took a whole bunch of high-res pictures of my 68. I'm real proud of it because I went, painstakingly trying to make it like the movie car. I moved the antenna. I put a round painted mirror on it. The only thing my car doesn't have a 390. It's originally a Highland Green 302 GT, but it doesn't have a 390. But other than that, I tried to just copy the movie car exactly. So I was real proud of that. So I take all these pictures of it. This is kind of embarrassing. I send Ford marketing this real nice letter on Oklahoma City Police letterhead, pictures of my car, saying, hey, I've heard there's rumors that there might be an 18 Bullitt. I would be just tickled pink if you wanted to use my car. If you wanted to use my car in any
kind of promotion.
A promotion kind of a deal. And so I get this real nice letter back from Ford, and it says, Mr. Robertson, your car is beautiful. Thank you for your interest, blah blah. But right now, there's no plans to build a 2018 Bullitt, and I think they sent me a pen and a can opener and something else, and I thought, okay, well then. When I'm watching, and he's watching at home too, and we're on the phone with each other, I'm watching the unveiling of this car. And then you hear the 68 fire up, and you can't mistake that sound. And it came driving out. I mean, you can't imagine the goosebumps that were bumping up on my arms. And little did I know at the time, Charles Jones and some of those guys were in the audience live watching this. He tells me later. But I'm getting all these goosebumps, and I'm thinking, well, no wonder they didn't want to use my car. They got the real thing here. So I felt really stupid for a little bit, but it was so cool the way they did that with Molly McQueen coming out that I forgot about it real quick, and I still have a letter that says there's no plans for an 18. Ford did not lie to me. There were no plans for an 18. Yeah, there were plans for a 19, but not an 18. In fact, one of my partners at work in the detective unit I'm in, he's actually standing right off camera too, next to his black GT here. But he said, well, he goes, they didn't say they weren't making a 19, and just handed the letter back to me. And I was like, well, they're not going to do a 19. That won't be the 50-year anniversary. And then little did I know. So, but anyway, and we get on the phone, and I said, hey, did you just see that? He's like, yeah. And I said, I'm going to have one of those. Now, I wasn't going to buy one new because I wouldn't be able to afford it with the other cars and stuff. I said, I'm going to let somebody buy one, play with it for a couple of years, and buy it. And he's like, I'm kind of wanting one too. And I'm like, well, I think I'll just let you buy it then, and then I'll get to enjoy it, and I don't have to pay anything.
He had the two Mustangs.
Right.
By that time, my wife had bought a 2016 red GT Mustang, and
my wife had the 17.
The next year, his wife bought the 17 Mustang, and I was kind of feeling left out.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'll just buy the 19, and that'll give us, two of the three Bullets, and. While we were waiting on the 19, we ordered it in April, and it came in middle of last month. While we were waiting on it, we both got to thinking, that 01's going to be the only one we don't have out of the whole collection.
Right.
And maybe we ought to start thinking about looking at an 01. And about that time, the Tour came through, And Robbie talked to Charles about it.
Thank God he kept that one as nice as he did.
And this unbelievably clean car. And so we thought, well.
And Charles, if you're seeing this, again, thank you.
And we thought, well, why don't we just split it, you know? So that's what we did.
All right. Well, do you guys have anything else to share? Any other stories or comments?
I don't think so.
No? All right. Well,
I don't
thank
think
you guys
so.
very much. I really appreciate
All right,
your
hey,
time.
thank you. We appreciate
So nice to meet you guys.
Thank you.
All right.
It would appear that there is something about Bullitt that creates a crazy and unique bond between people. 50 years after the release of the movie, we continue to acknowledge, pay tribute to, and honor its legacy and what it means to us, both as an individual and as a community. Bullitt. It's a movie, a car, a hobby, a lifestyle, and, let's be frank, it's also a family.
You'll never guess the places that I've been. You never guess the places that I've been. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that dream that I live in. I'm never gonna let the day begin. Never gonna let the day begin. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that dream that I live in. Oh, don't wake me up before you go, and I'll just make this bed my home. Oh, darling, please just let me sleep. Give me my dreams.